I'm so sorry. When you're dealing with the internet and you're dealing with these airwaves, sometimes you just have to expect the unexpected. So I hope you'll come on back, come on back, come on back. We were talking to the young lady about hospice, and we were talking about what has happened. Some people were sharing their experiences, and I'm so sorry that we got disconnected. Come on back in the room. We are back. 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 I'm so sorry. We are back. And yeah, we are back. And so I'm so sorry that that happened. I apologize that that happened. I really do. I'm so sorry that that happened. You know, the internet. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to bring you back in there. I just wanted to tell you we were back. And so I'm so sorry too. With the internet, you never know what to expect, right? But that's what happens when you're in out here with technology. You could be on the phone talking to somebody, it drops everything.
All right.
So no, it wasn't your phone that time. It wasn't your phone that
Okay.
time. It
That's
was the
okay. That's
internet
okay.
that time. But if you are out here on people's podcasts, one thing if somebody's talking in mid sentence, 9 times out of 10, it was not intentional. You just have to kind of come on back. You know, what was we talking about when that happened? Do you remember?
About the different things that volunteers could do.
Right. So,
Yeah.
some people that are interested, can you put a website down there in case they have a website?
Comfortable with going out visiting with patients directly, they can make phone calls. So we need volunteers to do our tuck-in program that's done on Thursdays, just calling families, making sure they have all of the items that they need for a week for the weekend nurse to come in. Um, or making bereavement calls, just checking in on individuals as well. So there are a lot of different ways, office support, in which people can volunteer.
Now, this young lady is the one that asked about how she can volunteer. What would you like to do, Patricia?
Well, I had my mother who passed and my brother who passed, but both of them passed before they got to the point of needing or being able to be supported by hospice.
Hold on one
Now,
second. Turn your volume down a little bit. You're a little loud. Turn your volume down a little bit. Okay, go
okay,
ahead. Okay.
and I used to go out to the visit at the different nursing homes and with my church. And it's something, and then I was the funeral coordinator for my church for about 7 years. So this is something that's close to my heart, providing support, and in particular the spiritual support and the home care. And right now, I'm not involved. I'm retired. And this is something that's always been near and dear to my heart. And I was just interested in how, first of all, if you need to be certified to do that, and you've answered that question,
Mhm.
but also how I can provide my services.
Well, we would love to have you, Patricia, provide your services. I did put the website on here where you can go and fill out a questionnaire form. I can also, if you want to put your email in there instead of going through that, I can also send an application to you directly. There's an application that you complete. You fill that out. That actually comes directly back to me. And then we will begin communicating as to, when you would like to start, how to do the online training and everything. I will walk you through that entire process.
Okay, now I'm in the DMV area. I'm in Virginia, right?
Okay.
15 minutes from DC in Maryland.
Okay.
And now, once I complete the training, what happens after that? Do you assign me to a
Yeah, so once
specific
you,
area in my?
yes, ma'am. So what we would do would link you with a hospice that is closer to your home in the DC area, and the hospice volunteer manager in that area would then, speak with you and find out what exactly you would like to do, what general area you would like to stay in, and then they will match you with a patient. And what typically happens, we don't just send you out on a blind, like, here, go see this person. They will actually go in and do the assessment before you evaluate the patient, kind of let you know what their needs are, because we want it to be a match for you and we want it to be a match for the patient and family. So once we
Okay.
find out what the needs are, then they will accompany you to meet your patient and kind of go over everything, like their diagnosis, what the needs are. And from there, you will begin to build that relationship with the patient and family.
Okay. Sounds good.
So
Thank
let me
you.
make sure.
You're right. And like I said, there's
Thank you
different
so much,
places.
Patricia. I wanted to bring you up. Do you have any other questions for her before I let somebody else come up? I see someone else
No,
raised their
not
hand.
at this point. I was just wondering whether or not you had to be certified,
Excellent.
because I don't, even though I've had the experience. And in fact, with my family, I'm the one that they call whenever we have, illnesses or, people in my family who's needs that type of support. And plus, that's something that I've done for quite a few years, supporting the elderly mainly and some of the sick. But I've never really got into a structured program to, just to keep it focused and keep it going. And in particular, the spiritual part and with the home care, that's something that I'm open, to assisting in. So I don't
Excellent.
have any other
Excellent.
questions. Thank you,
Thank
and
you.
I
Thank
Thank
you
will
so
you.
pick
much.
up your
All right. Thank you so much, Pat. I
email.
appreciate you.
Okay.
So now let me ask you this. So it sounds like if they contact your organization, even though they're in another state, you guys can still give them the certification. They can still go through the process, and then each state does that. They can get certified wherever they are, and then perhaps work with someone in another state. Is that
In their
correct?
location, right? Yes, that's what I was going to tell her. It may not necessarily be with our organization, as we don't actually go all the way to DMV, but we can still get her through the training and link her with someone closer in that area.
Which is good because sometimes somebody may say, "Hey, I want to be able to do it in the city where I live," and so just connecting with you, they can still
Hmm.
do that.
Yes,
And so, do they need to have a particular education, a college degree, or anything, background check, anything like that when
we
they go to
do
this?
background checks. Yes, we're upon them completing the application and doing the online training, we do a background check. As far as North Carolina, if you have our company, if you not have not been here for 5 years, we do the fingerprint. There is the two-step PPD skin test. We do that as well. If you've had one, then you may not need two steps. You may only need one step. Or if you've had the chest X-ray, and those results, then that will suffice as well. There is a drug screen that you have to pass as well to be a volunteer, but no degree is needed for it. You do not have to have a college degree. You just have to be over the age of 18. And like I said, they do require that you are COVID vaccinated. Um, and if you're only wanting to do virtual volunteers, such as making phone calls to family members, you actually have the option of going through that 12-hour training or not. I
Wow.
think that I think it's beneficial and helpful because those that may not be as familiar with hospice and want to know a little bit more, that training can be very helpful, but it is not necessary.
So,
It's
can
not
you
a
do me
requirement if you're doing virtual.
excellent? Now, because we got disconnected, I got to ask you to repeat something. I want you to repeat your name and your background and repeat the different types of hospice services because when I record this, that previous part is not going to be on the recording. So I want to make sure we get that. So I would love for you to just say your name, your background,
Mhm.
why you got into this field, and talk about the different types of hospice care levels that we discussed initially before the internet dropped us.
Before it dropped this, okay. Tangela Herring, background, like I said, has always been in healthcare. Um, Started out as sports medicine, worked my way into business administration with my concentration in healthcare management. Been volunteering and helping seniors since I want to say maybe I was 8 years old. I've been doing it my entire life, and
Wow.
something that I continued on through school, through college, and then started a career. Went on to become certified as a dementia practitioner in the area, and providing training as well to other individuals that would like to be um, certified as a dementia practitioner as well.
Oh,
The
wow.
different type of, so of course you have hospice care, but before you get to that point, the next level down will be palliative care, which is still a team of support, which includes the doctors, nurse, social worker, chaplain, spiritual support as well. And then you don't necessarily always will need like the healthcare aid at that time, but it is available. And then we have the home care piece as well. So home care,
Excellent.
palliative, hospice.
Excellent. And then we talked about the fact that hospice provides quality of life. Hospice help people to have a good quality of life, and they have to have a diagnosis of at least 6 months to live, correct, in order to
Yes,
get into the hospice?
yes, ma'am. But that
And
doesn't, and that could be a simple diagnosis of dementia. So it could be dementia, it could be a heart disease, stroke, things of that nature. But it doesn't necessarily mean that at 6 months your loved one's not going to be with us anymore. And if there's any time while you're on hospice and you say, hey, we want to take a break, or if that person is progressing and we feel like they are doing fairly well, then we may downgrade them to palliative care. Or if there's a surgery that you would like your loved one to have, or any type of therapy treatment that you would like for them to have, you have the option to kind of suspend hospice service for that period of time and take care of those needs and then come back on. So
and you said that like in North Carolina we had resources for seniors. So what agency, you said in any state, if a person doesn't know where to go, they might start with their doctor or start with like the social services or somewhere
social
and find out,
services, yes, ma'am.
and they can help them to understand what they need to do. Now, pain management, you said also. Now, you said
Yes.
something. You said, so the diagnosis doesn't have to mean necessarily that they're saying the person is going to transition from life to death. It could be does it have to be to that extreme to get in hospice to where they say they have 6 months left to live?
You just have to have a terminal ill diagnosis that could potentially
Okay.
say you have 6 months or less to live.
Okay. Okay. But
Oftentimes
there are
people
people.
think of just cancer, but you can have a diagnosis of dementia, Alzheimer's. And as we know, you can stay in various stages of dementia and Alzheimer's for
Whew,
extended period of time. It could be years.
yes.
But,
Yes.
if there's a gradual decline, like, losing the ability to feed yourself and you're losing weight, having difficulty with swallowing, things of that nature, increase in falls, all of those things are what the hospice team comes in to kind of help, manage. And we want to do it, keep them comfortable. We don't want them to be in any type of pain, so that's what that's kind of where we are with that.
So how many hours does hospice generally help a week? Like, do they give them a designated amount of hours a week? Good evening, Queen on the throne. Good evening, Gina, and everybody who has come in. Thank you for coming back. How many? Is there a limited amount of hours they provide assistance
It's
with?
based off, it's case by case because it's personalized care. It's very personalized. So every situation, each patient is different, and they get the plan of care that's specific to their needs. So if they need an increased nursing visit, or they need increased spiritual support, if they need extra nursing assistant care, then that's what hospice is going to do to provide. That's what they're going to do. There may be
Okay.
individuals that only need a nurse to come once a week. And
Mm-hmm.
they may only want their social worker to come once a month. But, like I said, we want to make it as personalized as we possibly can. So each need is specific, person
So I just want
specific.
to reset the room. If you just came in, we're speaking to Miss Tangela Herring. She is a coordinator for hospice, and the great thing about it is she can help you if you want to volunteer. If you want to help out in any capacity, and no matter what state you're in, the beautiful thing about how hospice does it is you can apply, and then they will set you up in an area near you where you would like to be. So that's a beautiful thing. Now, she did say if you don't want to go into the home and you want to do some virtual assisting, you can do that too. And they have different areas where you can help out. You can help them, and it's not always something. I don't think you have to have no nursing degree or nothing like that. They'll tell you, and they'll figure out where you want to be. They'll find out where you want to help and what your area of expertise is. You might just be a companion or someone to go and help some people in the family to go get time. Now, let me say
And
this. If you're a caregiver and you're just stretched out and you have a loved one that has been given a diagnosis, this could be a good help for you because that can be very, very overwhelming. So this can be an option for you. And we want to let you know that. Is that correct, Angela?
that is very correct. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. And like we have hairstylists, maybe
Oh,
they want to
wow.
come and do hair.
Wow.
Barbers. These are all things in which you can volunteer to do. Massage therapists.
Wow.
The somebody may need their yard mowed. Maybe they haven't been able to get out and do yard work. If somebody has a
Wow.
skill in that, if you have any type of special skill and you want to give back, I promise you there's a spot in a way for you to help out in hospice because I mean we all have talents and you can use it to help someone to brighten someone's day and not only are you making their life better and helping them but it's also rewarding for you as well to be able to share that talent. So I try to not put people in a box. Like it's so many different things in which you can do and ways you can help. Maybe you sew. A lot of people, I've had people to make little bears, to give to patients or blankets or do things for holidays. We're really trying to, right now, work on a veterans program because we are
Mm.
seeing an increase of veterans on hospice. So trying to get other veterans to kind of, support them because they've been where they can kind of understand and have someone to relate to. So, we want to make it rewarding and
Personal.
personable for everyone.
Wow. Now I have to tell you, my dad went to the Veterans Hospital in Durham.
Yes,
My
ma'am.
brother went to the facility in Fairville, and my mom had hospice at home. So I got a taste of three different types of hospice. Unbelievable. All three of them were very, very helpful. And the one from my dad, I have to say, it really helped me because that was about 45 minutes away.
Right.
And I couldn't always be there. So I really felt the the love. I felt those volunteers assured me like if he were to start transitioning, which he did right after I left, that he would not be alone, that they would be in there holding his hand, that he would
Yes, ma'am.
not go through that process by himself. When I
Yes,
tell
ma'am.
you, and I saw the genuineness, I saw it in him, I understood, and I felt like, okay,
A
he's
sigh
not
of
gonna be
relief.
alone. Like I
Relief
sat
knowing
there
that
and
they're
I
okay.
right. I had the conversation with him. I let him know I love him. I let him know it's okay to let go. And I did everything I needed to do. I wanted to give back, but I also did everything I needed to do. And I saw what I needed to see in the hospice volunteers to feel good and knowing that if they were there with him, that my dad was in good hands. And that's what hospice did for me. So they gave me that feeling. Now, the funny thing is, where you said people in hospice, the palliative. Now, is palliative the one where it's palliative and it's another one? What's the other one like when you don't want no medicine and you don't want nothing? It's like you're just gonna let nature take its course. What
Yeah,
is
so
that one?
that's like that's the hospice piece. Like that's
So so that was my brother. So when I got my brother here and I took my brother to Fayetteville, let me tell you something. When I took my brother to Fayetteville, when you looked at him, he looked like he didn't belong in there. because he was he had spunk, he had faith, and he walked in there flirting with the nurses, and he called me up talking about bringing some Chinese food. I was like, bruh, you can't be. So the people were looking at him like he don't belong here, and he was like, his stomach had to get pumped, right? So, but he was in there. They don't do that no more. It's like you got to let nature take the course. But he called me and said, sis, I can't take this pain. This pain is so bearable. So I had to decide. Me and my sister had to go get him, but it was understood if we go get him, they were going to release him. So they were going to release him. He had like 16 medicines. I was going to have to get a hospital bed in my room and the whole thing. I took him to Rec because Rec has the hospice area. Long story short, that was the last night for my brother. I mean, but they were so shocked, though, that he passed away that night. I mean, like, literally, he was flirting with the nurses at Rec. I mean, he was flirting. When I left there and I left him that night, he was still flirting with the nurses and high sprung, everything. And it was like, bam, the change happened. So it was like
So fast.
the breathing pattern just changed. And then they came and got me. I happened to get to the hospital. And that, when it was happening, it was like, something's happening. I went in and he was gone. I was like, wow. But so three different, yeah, man, it's amazing. Like some people, it goes through such a long process.
Mm-hmm.
Mom went to sleep. I'm talking to her. We laugh and we joke, and she sleeps. She slips into a coma. Brother's laughing, joking. He's sitting there, and then boom, he stops breathing. So it's just amazing how people just go through. So no two people leave this earth the same way.
Nope.
That's what I've discovered, now. But I do feel blessed because I was not in the room with neither one of them exactly when they took the last breath, and I think I like it better that way.
Yes, ma'am.
I really am indebted to hospice, and I want to help. So this is my way of helping. If I can help them get volunteers, now maybe I could do some virtual, or maybe there's something I can do, because when you said what you said a minute ago, I didn't think about it like that. You said if you cook, if you sew, if you do hair, so there may be something that people can do.
Like greeting cards.
There may be something that we can do, even if we don't want to be right in the midst of it, but we can help the organization. So that's really good to know. That's really good, because I never thought of it like that. I never thought of it like that,
Like,
so now,
like today was Mother's Day, like someone just like some groups just have like a stack of cards and they will say, hey, give this to the nurse to give to all the patients. So they have some extra cards for Mother's Day. It could be something like that. And if you do those types of things, you actually don't even have to, maybe
do the
you're
training.
not prepared to go all the way through the entire training, and doing the background and all of that. Those are things that you can just do and contact hospice, and they can give it to their patients. So you don't have to go through any training to do those things and be a part of it in ways to give back.
Wow. So let me shift to just a second. You said that you are a dementia practitioner.
Yes.
Talk to me about that, because I'm a caregiver. My sister has dementia, the third stage of dementia. So what does a dementia practitioner do?
Basically, well, I'm not a doctor or anything like that, but I have gone through special training to actually help manage individuals that are going through the different stages of dementia from beginning to end, being able to provide families with additional training and support as to what do things look like at this stage and what can we do to help your loved one to manage day to day, and what can we do to help you manage from day to day. Are there any non-pharmacological interventions? Of course, we have the medications that we can kind of give to individuals to kind of subside some of the symptoms and decrease slow the progression of it. But what are other things can we do? Are they, wandering a little bit more? What are things that we can put in place to maybe not restrict them from wandering, but help them to do it in a safe manner? When people have dementia, a lot of times they can become frustrated, or they're not able to say what they want to say, and educating people that is not from a place of now it's part of the disease process, but how do we navigate through it? How do we keep that behavior from escalating? How do we de-escalate it? When do we walk away and come back to it? It also helps the caregiver to not get burnt out. So just providing a
Wow.
lot of education and actually finding resources, such as, linking them with hospice or linking them with different community home cares and things of that nature. Even if it's, not with our company, just having that resource all around. There are Meals on Wheels. There's different things, transportation companies that can provide transport to and from, locations. So that's basically just an advocate for patients that are going through this journey, because having dementia, that's really what it is. They're in a journey, and the family's on the journey with them. So we need as much education as possible to just be able to be support and manage through
So
it.
let me ask you this question.
Hmm.
When a person goes to hospice, does that mean they dying?
No, that's a misconception. They are not dying. They are
Wow.
indeed still living. They
Wow.
are living, and even though the diagnosis says that it's 6 months or less, you are not tied to that number.
Right. And that's good. That's why you said it's quality of life. Because I think when I met the young lady who introduced me to you, she said there's somebody who's been in her program for like a year, 2 or 3 years or something. They gave him 6 months, and she's going on a couple of years now.
Yes,
So the diagnosis is there, but
it's
you
not a
don't
death
have to be
sentence.
dying. Oh wow,
Nope,
that's really
it is
good.
not.
And so that's a good thing for people to understand, because that's the conception I thought of too, because everybody who went through hospice through my family was at the end of their stage of their
Hmm.
illness.
And that's what
So
we see so often. But if you get it sooner, wow, having that support is life changing. It's life changing. Knowing that you have those additional nurses that you can call on at any moment, knowing you have that chaplain, that social worker that you can call on, that aide that you can call on, your volunteers that you can call on, you know, it's amazing. It's life changing. So that's why I say the sooner the better, because we're
wow.
we're a team and we're here to walk you through this process.
So if you're just coming in the room, we're talking about hospice care. We're talking about the different things people get in hospice care. We're talking about the pain management, the companionship, the spiritual counseling, the assistance for the family. We're talking about how you can be a hospice volunteer if you have a craft, or if you have a skill and you have time on your hand. You can see that website right there pinned. You can do an application, do a 12-hour certification course, and then volunteer in an area near you and go in. So if you have the extra time, and if you don't want to be necessarily on hands, there's something you could possibly do. So it's definitely something. Hospice, if you've ever been touched by hospice, I would love it if you put in the comments if you've ever been touched by hospice at all. Just put I've been touched, man. If hospice has done anything for any family members you know, a neighbor, a cousin, a friend, a father, or somebody, just put I've been touched. I've been touched 3 times, man. I've been touched 3 times. So hospice
Me too.
needs
Me too.
us. Hospice needs us. They need more volunteers. And if you've ever been in a situation where hospice is helping you, you know those people are real genuine. They're special people. And guess what? They don't get paid. They're volunteers.
Nope.
The organization, nobody gets paid in hospice. Nobody gets paid in hospice, y'all. Did you know nobody gets paid in hospice? And I mean that you don't. I have never come across anybody with an attitude with hospice. I don't come across anybody that didn't want to be there. They're so compassionate. And even after the person, now let's talk about that. Do they stick with the family after for a certain amount of
Yes.
time? After the
Yes,
person
ma'am.
transitioned?
So after the person has passed away, we do have our bereavement team that continues to check in on you. You actually have 13 months
Okay.
that they continue to check in on you. And um, we have different levels. If it's something that you need to do every week, that team is there for you every week. If it's something you only need once a month for them to check in on you, then that's what they're going to do. They're sending cards, they're checking in on you, making sure you're okay. offering support groups, finding resources like that for other people that are going through the same thing that you are. So yes, ma'am, it doesn't end once your loved one transitions on to their next home. It continues on that support for you for at least 13 months.
Wow. So to everything, there's always the good and the bad. So let me ask you this. Do you know of or recall of any disadvantages of hospice?
Um, Trying to think of any disadvantages of hospice. I
I
don't
know
think there any.
for me, I'm gonna tell you what I saw. It's not a disadvantage, but I saw it as a what would I use the word with my brother when he was in that facility and he was in that phase where if you come here, then you can't. You're saying that I'm not going to do anything else. Like I said, for him to get relief, he had to go get his stomach pumped. But if he stayed in hospice, he had to suffer and not get his stomach pumped. So to me, I wish there was a way it could have been, well, he could have just stayed there because I had to drive there and go get him. And then he passed away the next day, but at the hospital after he got his stomach pump. So I will never know if he didn't get it pumped, if he still would have died, because I don't know how that happened with his body. You understand what I'm saying?
Mhm.
But like they did let me bring him some Chinese food, but they pretty much was
Mhm.
telling me they didn't want me to, So when you go in those facilities, you 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 have to abide by their rules, which is a good thing. I mean, that goes with anywhere. And you can't. In some hospitals, some cases they want you to eat because they're on a certain diet. you know. So I don't know if that's a disadvantage, but it's just a limitation. I'm gonna call it a limitation.
And yes, and when they're in a facility, sometimes it's a little different than when you're at home. But again, like a
Yes.
lot of people don't know that, they think that once you're on hospice, if there's a treatment or something that you want, they often feel like, okay, I can't do this treatment because I'm on hospice, so they can't do anything. But you can suspend your hospice, get that treatment, and then get picked back up on hospice. Yes, you can't do it
Yes.
while you're on hospice. You can't have continuing, progressive therapies that's going to, help you get better while you're on hospice. However, you can stop it. Families have the choice to stop it. And I like to put that in there. People don't often know about it, but they
Right.
can make that choice to stop it and say, hey, I think I want to try to send that for a little bit of therapy to see if they get a little bit stronger. Or maybe I want to have speech try to see if they can, improve their eating or something like that. And, because
Don't give
like I
up.
said,
Like
it's emotional. It's an emotional thing to you as well.
it
And
is.
everybody is not ready to let go, and you want to try to do as much as you can for your loved one. So we give you that opportunity to try. We're not going to tell
Not
you not to try. We can tell you, the pros and cons of what could or couldn't happen, but we want you to try. So if you need to stop hospice, take them off hospice to go, and try to get that treatment and see if you can help your loved one, and then you see that it absolutely is not working, we welcome you back. Come right on back. We're here to pick up where we left off and continue on with the journey.
yes. And you know what I say? I say there's a lot of people who have a lot of fight in them. I watch
Mm-hmm.
some people who they not giving up. That's the
Mm-hmm.
difference between that person in a coma that some people can be in a coma for months and years and come out. And then you have some people and I believe it has to do with the level of their faith too. Like I really believe it has to do with their faith. And so that's why some people they go into a coma and they hear you and they really fighting, and that's why they say talk to them, tell them
Keep
something
talking.
positive,
Yep. Keep
play
talking.
some music, play some
Mm-hmm.
positive music, play some
Yep.
inspirational music, because if
Because
that
they hear it.
hurt you talking to their spirit, their spirit is fighting now. But let me say this too. So I hate to tell people this sometimes because watching and going through what I did with mom, dad, and brother, I said sometimes it's almost like I'm not gonna say an expert, but it's almost like I'm knowledgeable with knowing when somebody is going through that transition. Like I recognize the signs of when
The
somebody's
signs,
dying.
yep.
I
Hmm.
recognize when they're getting down to the last few hours. I recognize the glassy eyes. I recognize the breathing pattern. I
Hmm.
recognize those things.
Yes.
Uh, what are some of those things that if somebody has never been in that boat, aside of what I just said? I know it's the weak pulse, the
Hmm.
glassy eyes, the breathing pattern that stop eating. They
Yes.
don't want to eat. A
Eat,
lot of
they'll stop
times
eating
that
or drinking, right?
they
But
hear
we, our
somebody said
nurses,
here. Somebody said hearing is the last thing to go. I never heard that.
yes,
Really?
people
You heard
they
that
can
before?
hear they can hear you all the way up until they take their last breath. So, continue to talk to them, say everything you want to say, encouraging words, words of affirmation, letting them know you're going to be okay. Um, songs, touch is really good. Touch therapy is amazing. Um,
Wow.
And, I did want to say, I was speaking earlier, like I've also done five wishes, and five wishes is kind of like telling people before it gets to that point what you want done. So you can kind of say, yes, I would like to have music, played. I would like to have somebody talking to me, or perhaps reading scriptures and things of that nature, so that, during my time of transition. But in the event that people are unaware to, like, what do I know? How do I know that, they're soon to take their last breath? If they are on hospice, our nurses are specially trained, and they are so genuine and diligent with walking you through that process and telling you exactly what's going to happen. Um, Usually can kind of say, well, hey, this is going to be step one. You're going to start to see this. Then this is going to be the next thing that you're going to start to experience and see. So they kind of prepare you in a sense, and let you know what to expect. They increase their visits, so they're coming more frequently as well. So you're not going through it alone. The aides usually increasing their visits so that you're not going through it alone. If we know that that end is happening, I can speak for Liberty Hospice. There may be a nurse there with you. There may be a chaplain there with you, praying with you, holding your hand, and right there during that time. So, if a volunteer is available, they may be there as well. So, you're going to have the support of that team that's going to be with you. And even if that person passes and they're not there, you pick up that phone and make that call. They're going to come and be right
Wow.
there to support you, day or night.
There and a lot of people don't know there's three stages to dying. There's a beginning, a middle, and an end stage. And
Hmm.
certain things happen in those stages. And so are all these things in the certification and training that you guys do, a
You're
lot
going
of
to
this
learn
stuff.
all
So
of that. Yes. And I still say, you go through that certification and everything, but until you actually really go through it, I still feel like it's a learning experience. I actually had a volunteer that he's actually a medical student, and he was seeing patients. We went to go visit the patient, everything was fine, saw the family, and it happened really quickly. Like a week later, he went to go back and visit again, and during that process, like the patient transitioned and actually passed away while he was there, and he had never experienced it before. However, he said, his training kind of prepared him. The nurses and the doctors were there, and they kind of guided him, and he said the family member was there, and the sister couldn't stay. She actually said she could
wow,
not stay, and he
wow,
volunteered to sit there with him as he took the patient as he took his last breath. And
wow,
he said it was an amazing experience for him. He said, all of the training, it sort of
wow.
prepared him, but he was like, it was an eye-opening experience, and he was glad to, be there with
Yes,
him and support him through
yes.
that time.
God uses me in many ways, but I don't know if He's gonna use me in that way yet. I don't know.
And like I said, and
Hospice
everybody is not,
cut out
in a
for it.
place where they can do that. Those are we call them our 11th hour volunteers. They have a specific name, and where they're there with them while they're transitioning. But so, like I said, it may be for some, and for some it is they're not quite there yet. But you have your own talent and gift that you can share, so that's
Wow.
okay.
Look, once again, if you just came in, you're listening to Miss Herring. She is actually a volunteer coordinator for hospice. Hospice will help you with families to have care, comfort, and quality of life, even though they have to get that 6-month diagnosis to being near end of life. It doesn't mean they're dying. So we
Mm-hmm.
clarified that. Hospice does not mean the person is dying, but it does mean they got a diagnosis. But as you
Correct.
all know, people get diagnoses all the time, and then you still see these people telling their testimony years later.
Yes.
So it's great to know that there is a place like hospice. They come into the home, they help you in your home, or either you can go to facility. So
Mm-hmm.
what we want you to do is if you are not following her, make sure you follow her. There's an arrow on the top of the screen where you can follow T Sunshine and let her know if this is something you feel like you want to do. She also said some people may go in and do, like you heard, this 11th hour volunteer did, but then there's others that might just go cut hair or fill out some Christmas cards or Mother's Day cards or Father's Day is coming up or just be a virtual volunteer. Or maybe you might help administratively or go shopping or go to the store or sit there while the family member goes to the store or goes get their hair done. So we just wanted to make sure that we brought her on so she could share with you about the importance of what hospice does, about the importance of their need for more volunteers. Right now, they are in need of more volunteers all over the world with hospice. I asked the question, I said, have you been touched? If you have been touched, then you know how special hospice volunteers are. If you've been touched at all, you know how special they can be. Are you that special person? Are you a person that can be a hospice volunteer? Do you have extra time on your hand? An hour, 2 hours? Take the 12-hour certification course. You might just want to do it for someone in your own family. Maybe you don't want someone else coming in for your own family, and maybe the information will help you to go through the process with your family. Have you found people to do that? Have you found people to take it and it helped them to do their own family?
Yes. Yes.
So if you don't want to do it for others, but you don't quite understand everything, this is also another way to educate yourself and get all those questions answered. So right now, if you have any questions that you want to ask about hospice before we end this live, I want to give you the opportunity to ask Ms. Heron if you have a question. There's a question box. There's a plus sign if you want to have a question. If not, we're going to begin to close this out because it's Sunday night and we know some people want to go back to their families. It is Mother's Day. But we just wanted to have this important conversation, guys, because there's some families out there that are stretched. They're overwhelmed. They're doing it all by themselves. And we wanted to let them know that hospice can help. Hospice can come in and take the burden off that shoulder for you. And again, you don't have to be trained. You don't have to be anything but over 18 years old. As long as you're over 18, you come on in. You're going to have to take the drug test. You're going to have to do the background check. You're going to have a skin test, COVID test, and then they're going to train you. But I do want to ask you, can they be a felon or a former felon or anything, or no?
No.
Okay, no felon. Sorry, but you can be a virtual volunteer or you can volunteer in-house
Yes.
in a hospice facility or in people's homes.
Mm-hmm.
So we just wanted to bring this to you. Is there anything else that you would like to share on your heart about hospice, just to tell the people why they might want to volunteer or how much of a need there is for volunteer in hospice?
Um, I just want to say that being able to know that you made someone's day or made them smile or just gave them a break is so powerful. More than you know, lives are touched. Um, like I said, I've personally been through it. I've worked in skilled nursing as well for 13 years prior to doing hospice, and it's something near and dear to me. And it was a personal choice of mine. I love helping people. I love giving back. I want to actually make a difference. And if I can do that with one person, just 1 hour, you too can do just 1 hour. As I stated earlier, we all have a special talent. We all have a gift. We were all born with a gift. And you have a choice to use that gift and share it with others. Why not share it? Don't keep it to yourself. Share it with others, and you will also find it rewarding within yourself as well. Just starting out. And I thank everyone for coming on today. I thank you, Crystal, for having me as well, to be able to speak a little bit about hospice and what we do.
Yes,
And
ma'am, and
and
we
for those,
appreciate you.
thank you. And for those that have been through it, my heart is with you. Like I said, I've been through those who have lost their loved ones as well. Know that we are here to continue to support you. You're in our thoughts.
Yes, and 13 months afterwards, don't forget that hospice
Yep.
is still there for you. If you
Yes.
had a loss, please don't
Hmm.
hesitate to call. They're there. The website is pinned. We will pin the website again once we post this. And if you know somebody you think will benefit from this live, please share the live with them. If you know somebody who's a caregiver or somebody who has a loved one who has just been diagnosed with something or someone who's just overwhelmed, share this with them because sometimes family members don't always chip in. And so you need organizations like this. Remember what you said. It doesn't mean they're dying, y'all. It doesn't mean they're dying. So that was an eye opener for me because I think that might be an eye opener for others too, because others might not call hospice for volunteers because they think that means it's for the people who are dying. And maybe they don't want to put that little cloud over there. You know what I'm saying? Oh, hospice is here. They in hospice. Because when you get somebody say they in hospice, it's like, okay, it's the end of the road. You know what I mean? So I think that helped me tremendously. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you so much for coming. It is my desire to bring you information that will inspire, inform in any kind of way, one or the other, just inspire or inform you. My name is Crystal Bodie Smith. If you're not following me, hit the follow button. Follow T also. And again, we're going to share this. I want to wish once again all the ladies out there a happy Mother's Day. If you're a mother, if you're a father, if you're an adopted parent, if you are mothering in any kind of way, then
Yes.
that wish is for you. I hope that you had a beautiful, beautiful day. And I sincerely hope that you
Happy
called your
Mother's
mother
Day.
today. I sincerely hope that you said Happy Mother's Day and that if you don't have any brothers, because I don't have my mother. My mother went home to be with the Lord in 1995, August 1995. And I tell everybody, don't sweat the small stuff, man.
Right.
If you have any family member that you are in disagreement with or something, don't sweat the small stuff. Make it right,
Right.
because these people are going through things like this. So you got to make it right, okay? Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate you so much. This is what we do. Story Time is here to help you. If you have a story, please come on back, DM me. That's what it's all about. Us sharing our testimony, us sharing what we would like to tell the world that we have that can help somebody get through whatever that they need to go through. Whatever obstacle or hurdle you climb, now I need you to help somebody else climb that too. And that's what story time is for. Okay? This Wednesday, y'all, coming to the mic is Rodney Perry. Rodney Perry's going to tell his story. You know him. He's been on the Monique show. You know him from comedy, the big comedy stage. But he has a story, man. That man beat COVID. He almost died. He got a story he want to tell. And that's what it's about. We have to share our stories, guys. But I want to say good night. I want to say God bless you. I want to say thank you. I want to say keep hope alive. My mission is to stir up the gift, instill hope, and save lives. My name is Crystal Bodie Smith. I want to thank you, Miss Heron. Thank you, everybody, for coming through here. Share, tag, like this video, and go to the website. Fill out the application. Do 1 hour, 2 hours. I'm going to fill it out myself too. So make sure you text it to me. We all can do something. 1 or 2 hours, even if it's to go grocery shopping for somebody. When we go to the store, how much more could it be to, like, if you find a family and you be like, you know what, I'm going anyway. Let me pick up a bag and drop it off because this person can't leave. How much is that? So let's do better, guys. Let's do better. I am Crystal Bodie Smith signing off and saying good night. Thank
Thank
you
you.
for
Thank
joining.
you. All right.
Bye bye,
Good night.
everybody. Good
Bye.
night.